Welcome to the One Rock at a Time podcast. I'm Caley.
And I'm Paul. Today, we're going to be talking about some heavy stuff. Some things that have been haunting me for weeks.
Yes, so trigger warning. We're going to talk about some really horrible things that men do to women.
Yeah. It's one of the things that we've done over the last couple of weeks is we want to learn more about what's going on in the world. Well, me learn more about what's going on in the world. And Kayla's really been opening my eyes to some things that I've been sheltered against or have actively chosen not to see.
So we're going to talk about the book Men Who Hate Women, and then at the end we will talk about what our rocks for the week are. Do you want to go over what the rock is and why we're called One Rock at a Time podcast right now?
Yeah, this has nothing to do with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's dope, but...
Sponsor us. I have a shirt by you and I love it.
You have a shirt by The Rock made you a shirt?
Okay, his company. You know, the blue one that I have like...
Oh, yeah, with the muscles? Yeah. Babe, show you muscles. Oh, you're in a jacket.
I'm in a jacket. I don't want to scare everyone away.
This isn't the gun show, okay? Anyway, yeah, it's not about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's not about geology. This is all stemming from a proverb, I think? A saying. How do you move a mountain? One rock at a time. Which is really an inefficient way to move a mountain, but it's something that's manageable that each one of us can do. If you have no other tools at your disposal, you can go pick up a rock and start moving a mountain. It takes time, it takes perseverance, and it takes, managed steps. That's what we're about here, is what can we do? What's the small thing we can do to help change the world?
All right. So I found this book called Men Who Hates Women, and I brought it to my lovely, lovely husband.
That's me.
And it was very hard for him to read. I'll let you tell that portion. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So whenever it first came up, we share an Audible account, and it popped up that she sent me a thing, Men Who Hate Women. I got the deal. I was like, I wonder if this is that book, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because in its original language, I forget if it was Swedish or Finnish, it was actually called Men Who Hate Women.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and it was a crazy tale. I was like, all right, she wants me to listen to a thriller. This would be cool. Nope. Turns out this is an informational, in-depth look that Laura Bates did on the Manosphere, which was a new term for me.
We'll get into that term in a little bit.
And how these groups that most people think are, they're just wackos. There's only a couple of them that think that way. That is actually really widespread and is ingrained into the culture of America. And some of the things that I didn't want to believe, just because, I'm an optimist. That's one of my things, is if someone tells me that they're doing something that's gonna help me, I'm gonna believe them. As it turns out, I shouldn't be doing that as often as I do.
Maybe ask a couple questions might help.
Yes.
So I think for you, he was very haunted. It took him a long time to get through the book. And for me personally, it was more of a solidifying kind of what I already knew. I got a lot of actual facts and statistics to back up things that I've already experienced or seen, or my friends have experienced, because women, we talk, and that's so, and I know men will phrase it as women gossip and all that, but women talk and we form communities, and because we do that and we're talking, we share very vulnerable stories. Mm-hmm. So this book was solidifying what I already knew. So it was less haunting. I do, however, wish I didn't start listening to it when I was in California alone on a solo hike that turned into a 6-mile hike.
I didn't even think of that. That's gonna be terrifying.
Yeah, I started it on my hike, and the hike actually turned out to be twice as long as I originally wanted it to be, because I took a wrong turn, but it's all good. I made it back to my car, but I was listening to that audiobook the whole time, and I was like, great timing.
It opened up my eyes to some of the things I've decided, or I was thinking wasn't a big deal, or wasn't major, or wasn't a big problem. But as it turns out, it she's spent several years going into different communities. That she's an established journalist who actually I found out earlier today started like a website. It was it's like a global sexism page, and it's a movement where people can anonymously put stories of how sexism has impacted their lives. And up at the top, I was like, how does this website work? There's flags all over the top. Each one of them are different countries where this is happening, and it's worldwide. And there's hundreds of anonymous accounts of people saying this is, a story that happened to me where sexism has impacted.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. It is so rampant.
I love watching a white man open his eyes. It's just, wow.
I think I might have shared this in the last one. I hadn't thought that way before. I've never been scared. Why would I be afraid to go someplace? I'm a relatively large white fella in Texas of all places. Nobody's gonna mess with me. I've never been afraid to, walk alone at night. I've never had someone tell me, hey, be safe out there. Not a joking manner.
Do you know that they did like a study? I just saw this morning. It's kind of crazy. They did a study that showed that like if you hand women a map of like their area and hand men a map, women are like, they almost always can find the most crime-ridden streets. Like they'll be like, highlight the streets that you think or that you wouldn't feel safe down, and the women are highlighting and the men are highlighting, and the women are more correct with because they don't feel safe walking down the street, and those turn out to be high crime rates.
That's wild.
Yeah,
because like guys will be, I don't like this street because Jeff lives down there.
Fuck Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. I don't know Jeff.
I'm sure there's some Jeff that deserves to say get fucked.
That's true.
Hey, you know who you are, Jeff. Oh, you're not that Jeff.
My name's Jeff. Sorry. Anywho.
Yeah, whenever I was first buying my house and I was talking with my sister about it, like she's like, I don't want to go to this neighborhood. I got to send her different things. She's like, no, I wouldn't feel safe there. I was like, what?
The places you were looking were honestly terrifying once you told me.
I don't know. It just seemed like a place to me. I could live anywhere. And that's the problem. I can live anywhere. I've never had to consider that. Women have. All the time.
Wow.
Yeah. Like that John Mulvaney skit where he was like running after some lady and he thought that she might have heard the subway or whatever. As it turns out, she was terrified because it's a grown man chasing her.
John Mulaney.
Who did I say?
Mulvaney.
Is there no D in his name?
No. There's a Dylan Mulvaney. She's amazing.
My bad. You know that guy. I don't know. I hear he's not very nice to his wife. So maybe I shouldn't be quoting him anyway.
Ex-wife.
Ex-wife? Good for her.
Good for you. We stand with Anna. Anyways.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on now and talk about...
The book itself?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
You go first. So fun fact about me is every time I read a book, it can only stay in my brain for so long. So like I said, I got a lot of like the facts and statistics, which my brain was like, I don't want that. But I do remember parts of it. So he has a solid memory when it comes to when he reads books. I don't know, your memory lacks in other ways, but when it comes to reading books, he's still trapped. He remembers books that I read that he's not even read. And I'm like, I already forgot the character's name. I don't even care anymore. I'm over it. But I'm going to let you start off. And when I remember stuff, because I will, I'll pop in too.
All right. So the book opens up to and this was like part of the reason why it was so hard for me to listen to is like the first paragraph was, imagine a world where women are being oppressed. Where they're being
really nailing this, honestly.
Where they're being hurt, where people believe they don't deserve rights and deserve to be raped and don't deserve to be treated as people. Now, stop imagining, because that's the world we live in today. I was like, oh my God.
He's like, I hate it here. And she made a whole, like, she was in this world, like, in the, like, I don't know what would we call that area?
The Manosphere.
The Manosphere, that's right. She was in it. Like she made a fake profile, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And okay, see, I remember things. She made a whole profile and like she ingrained herself into this world, and I can only imagine how terrifying that was for her to just like have to like, for one, pretend to be a man in the manosphere, and for two, just like see all of that.
And that was a term I'd never heard before, was manosphere. And there's a lot of vocabulary that I had to learn from this book. Like I had heard what an incel was. It was explained to me from a drunk dude at a party once.
Okay. Put some respect on Matt's name. We love you, Matt.
Yeah. Big baller. Anyway, he, like, I'd heard it before. It was just, a group of folks that can't get laid. They're involuntary celibates.
Involuntarily celibate.
That's not the way it was explained to me. The book was different and gave me a better description. But they were, the same thing. They can't get laid. They are celibate, not by their own accord.
Some lady, and she made a website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was celibate, not by choice, because she was lonely.
Yeah. She just couldn't find a space to talk with folks and connect with someone in a romantic fashion. Fair. And it was I forget if it was a message board or something, but she created the website to build that community so that people can talk to each other about their struggles, about being alone, and how to get out of it and basically build lasting, meaningful connections with people. Turns out that got hijacked by some misogynists, and it really started taking a turn for the worse. The Manosphere community, which is another vocabulary word. Manosphere is where all of basically folks that fall into or directly encourage misogyny and basically don't view women as people, they kind of go into this Manosphere world. And it's mostly you would assume it's mostly online. But later they discuss about how it's getting more into mainstream culture. And we talked about that a little bit in the last podcast, talking about the Trump, how Trump has been negatively affecting the culture of America.
Which Trump was mentioned several times in this book. Things that I didn't think about, like YouTube and just the way that propaganda is and how it's used. And people really prey on people who are already down. When you're low, they'll kick you when you're down. They want you to go lower. And I feel like that's what happens with propaganda, especially. They're targeting the people who are already low.
Yeah. And that's the tactic is you find people that are impressionable, someone who's looking for some sort of connection or for some sort of help, and basically twist them to what you want. And that's what originally this was, people would go looking for some sort of sense of community. And our further and further in our society, we've disconnected from people. Kids, play video games online.
Yeah.
People are doing less stuff with other folks. And that's, from COVID, it really made it a lot easier for us to do stuff on our own.
And I think from this book, rather these incels, rather than actually looking in and taking accountability and being self-aware, they're placing blame on women as to, I can't get laid because women suck and women only want money and women just everything is a woman's fault. Rather than hey, maybe you're a douchebag. I don't know. Maybe you're not very kind to women. Maybe you don't view me as a person. Maybe that's why I don't want to date you. Maybe that's why I don't want to sleep with you. But it's always someone else's fault, right? It's never it's never taking accountability. And so when you get a bunch of men that view women in such a negative way, they just feed off the pain of women.
And it really goes back to the Wicked plot line. You're looking for someone to blame. They're looking for a villain. And in this case, it's the system is made up by a small matriarchy that controls the currency of sex effectively. That they decide they're the ones who get to choose, which is the argument that they use for that's why it's okay for you to physically assault and force yourself on women. Laura Bates in the book, we mentioned that she created an online account by a fella named Alex, and she would in part of this investigative journalism would go through and join these groups.
Can I tell you a secret?
I would love a secret.
Okay, when she first introduced Alex, right? The way because she's very good, and the audiobook, I don't know if that was her, but whatever. So the way it was said, and again, I'm walking and I'm also hyper aware of my surroundings. it took me a minute to realize she was Alex. Because she did the whole imagine a world thing earlier, right? And then she's like, this is the world. But then she introduced Alex. She's like, Alex is she gave a whole description, and I was like, yeah. And then I was like, wait. Later on, I was like, oh, she's Alex.
Wait a second.
You got me. So it is a thriller, okay?
I was thrilled.
It's a mystery. Go ahead.
You know, like in a scary book, whenever you feel like you're being hunted, that's what I felt like. I'm being hunted.
Welcome to my life.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Being hunted for sport. It's not cool. Anywho, a lot of these communities, like there are the just dipping people into it, where you say, yeah, being part of the incel community, people will seek these groups to try to get some sort of sense of community because they're feeling alone, feeling sad, and eventually they'll just keep ticking a little bit further off into crazier and crazier stuff. There'll be one or two posts where someone will say something like, yeah, rape her. Oh, that's weird. Why would they say that? And then as you're on these message boards, you see it more and more. And then you become desensitized. And if that's your main source of interaction with folks, you think that's just how people talk. You think that's just okay. And she mentioned that, you know, it just like I thought, those are just some wackos. They're just like a small group of them somewhere just in the corner, just being gross. No, as it turns out, she mentioned that there was millions of posts, hundreds of thousands of concurrent unique users to like the 4chan, which I guess was I remember hearing about that in like high school. It's like a forum place, kind of like Reddit.
Okay.
In different type of like incel Reddits, those types of things, hundreds of thousands of folks. And
it's really hard to moderate that too.
From what I understand, the way that Reddit is set up, someone in that group already becomes a moderator and then keeps control of it. If they're part of the problem and also have those views, they're gonna say that's okay.
And especially as it becomes more and more
mainstream.
Yeah. Because we're seeing it today, like in the way that like Nick Fuentes is saying your body, my choice, like, and it's a ha 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 moment, but like that's
no, it's not.
But it's not. I know, but like for him, he's like laughing, and it's like when I say ha 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 moment, I mean like men will make really crass jokes like that, and it's not, to me, it's not a joke. But then like they'll say something really freaking horrible and be like, you can't take a joke. You can't take a joke. And that's 100% what he's doing. Like he's saying your body, my choice. Cause he's like, well, I'm not actually doing anything to your body right now. So it's a joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not actually funny, but that's what men will say, vile, horrible shit about women and be like, well, you just can't take a joke. No, it's just not funny. Yeah. So, but it's becoming more mainstream to say things like your body, my choice, which promotes rape culture. 100%.
It directly does.
Yeah.
There's nothing funny about it. There's some really smart people that have learned and are like calculating to manipulate folks. They use that as a tactic. If you put something like outwardly racist, outwardly violent, and phrase it with just enough to say that it could be a joke, say, oh no, I was just joking. It, again, desensitizes people. It makes it to where that's commonplace. Okay, yeah, maybe people do think that way. After a while, you're like, yeah, that's fine. People say that. Sure. When really it's not okay. That's not, what about rape is a joke? It shouldn't be something that we're putting in like any type of comedic light.
Something that happened like really early on, like with us, was like Paul's always been really like sensitive to like coercion. Like he, in general, not just with like sex, just in general, he never wants to feel like he's like talking me into things, or you know what I mean. And like I was conditioned to not have anyone ever consider that or be aware enough to go like, oh, am I coercing you into it? Do you not really want to do this? Like and it wasn't an issue in like our sex life too, like where we're like, well, he doesn't want to, and he's like, I don't want you to think I'm like talking you into it. And can
we talk for a second? I didn't understand what coercion was until I was like 26. I remember hearing it,
Really?
but yeah, no one ever told me about it. I didn't like that's her. Maybe it was a little bit younger
Well,
than
women weren't really taught to truly identify what coercion was either. So that's why it was strange for me, because I have had several instances where I did not want to do something, but I did it. And in the moment, you're not like thinking like, oh, I'm being coerced, or sometimes you're not even thinking, oh, I'm being sexually assaulted. Like in high school, I used to be tripped up the stairs so men could see up my skirt. Well, not men, boys at the time. But they used to like slap my butt in the hallway. Like that was normalized. Things like that were so normalized. And I've had several instances of my own where like I did not want to do something. I didn't recognize that they were coercing me. I didn't recognize that they had sexually assaulted me. I felt gross about it afterwards. And during, I was like, I don't really like this. Not really what I want to do. But we weren't taught, like, I wasn't taught that way. And the culture was normalized that men could touch women. And I think that that's where a lot of the culture the men are trying to get to now again, where like these incels are blaming the women and are so upset, is because women, since the Me Too movement, men are just so afraid. We can't even make jokes anymore. We can't even touch women. Like we have to worry about, like, they have to consider us as humans and actually, think through their actions and not just like, because how many times do you see a woman just run up to a man and grab him in an inappropriate way?
I don't know that I've ever seen that. It's only happened to me twice.
Yeah, like, I mean, I grab your butt, like, but
we have a conversation about that.
Right. Like, I can grab his booty. It's fine.
I've had a stranger grab my butt once in like middle school. And then there was a girl at like a club once was like grabbed on me. And wasn't necessarily a problem. I was a young man. I was excited about whoever wanted to touch me. So, but like neither of those instances, I wasn't afraid for my life. I didn't feel bad about that. I was like, oh, someone likes me.
Yeah, but I think that, like, us trying to say, hey, like, maybe you shouldn't touch me without my permission. Maybe, maybe I should speak up against someone who sexually assaulted me. When the Me Too movement started, men started to, like, really get uncomfortable because it forced them to, like they couldn't be outwardly disgusting anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of this negativity from like men towards women comes from, is because I can't even say we're getting rights back because we're getting them stripped away again, but we're getting, like, we did get rights at some point, and we were able, like, we have more people on our side. Like, we were having, with the Me Too movement, we had so much, like, support, and, like, we still have a long way to go for believing women, but at that time, like, it was like a culture shift, and it felt like things were going to change. It doesn't feel so much that way right now anymore, but it felt for a few years anyways that things were changing. And even still, like, men have to try to not be outwardly themselves really awful. Other people gaining, like, rights feels like oppression when you're, like,
when someone else gets the same privilege.
Yeah, when you're accustomed to privilege, so now men think they're being oppressed.
Mm-hmm. Laura Bates talks about that in the book, that there's a whole subset of misogynist men out there who I think the group was Men Going Their Own Way, which she shortened to MGTOW, which MGTOW sounds cool. I don't know what that is. It sounds like something I would, like, really enjoy watching, some sort of anime called MGTOW. Nope. MGTOW are men who idealize doing stuff on their own, getting away, like, if you were to think like off the grid, like woodsman type folks, that's what they aspire to be. They were saying that their entire goal, like, is to get your own land, live out in the middle of nowhere, and don't talk to anybody. Just be alone. Because they can't get laid. I guess that's part of it, yeah. Mm. But this was like a choice that they were going to make to get away because the world is too dangerous. And specifically women were out to get them. And that goes back to the matriarchy of of the United States that women control everything, which just inherently isn't true. Believe it or not, one of the MGTOW tenets is like, don't be alone with a woman who isn't your wife. If you are married, don't be alone with a woman. If you're gonna be somewhere, don't make sure it's with someone else. Don't make it just with women. Mike Pence.
But you can be alone with your wife.
I guess.
Okay.
But I'm circling back around that Mike Pence said that he like did not trust women on their own. That he would not take a meeting one-on-one with a woman that is not his wife. And that's incredibly harmful to the like progress of our people. It like networking is really important, especially in like the political realm. If you're able to get some sort of mentorship from someone, a lot of it's one-on-one. A lot of it's on, like, you have some questions that you don't want to ask in front of
Does
a
he
group.
not trust himself alone with a woman? Is that more so what it is?
Maybe. Like, he preached it to people. Yeah, don't take meetings with women. That's inherently misogynistic because you're afraid that you're going to do something that she's going to take the wrong way that then is going to end up being a problem.
Gotta watch everything I say nowadays. Shut up.
But, I mean, that's just one example of, like, that's Mike Pence. His principle is a core tenet in this Manosphere community. Don't trust women and don't be alone with them. It's not a small group of wackos. It's, like, ingrained in our culture of America.
So, do you want to lead us into some PUAs? We learned what PUAs were.
Not the pig from Moana. I want to say this right now. Pua the pig is adorable and we love him. PUAs, the 3-letter acronym for pickup artists, are terrible.
Show your work.
Show my work. In the Manosphere, the Laura Bates goes through incels and people that can't, connect with folks and they're involuntarily celibate. With that, they're seeking community of other folks and trying to learn to, make connections and effectively get laid. Unfortunately, capitalists have found out that you can try to teach people how to do that. They wrote books. They become like pickup artist gurus. They teach seminars. They tell people how they can bang sluts. Yeah, that was my face. What the fuck? There's these guru folks that go around and encourage men to effectively assault women, to tell them, they want to be chased. They all have a rape fantasy. Just go get it. Just go get them. And it's harmful and terrible. There was a real prominent pickup artist guru fella who, there's a video of him in, I believe, Australia, where he leads the seminar by saying that he got this stripper to come back to his hotel. He was banging her. This morning, he could tell she wasn't really into it, so he just grabs her and sticks it in dry. That's him describing in detail how he just raped this woman. And the crowd went wild. Yeah, give it to her. This is the type of culture that they're set, that they think is okay. He got his nut. Who gives a shit what she does? She's not a person. She's a void. Which I forget if that was already described, that a female humanoid instead of a person.
That's I don't
ridiculous.
think we talked about that yet.
More vocabulary words that I...
So yeah, they call women voids because it's dehumanizing to them, to women.
It's because calling them women humanizes them too much.
Mm-hmm. So we're androids, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Just like that book you read.
Yeah, Antibot. I read a book about this man who owns a robot, and it's really a man's dream, right? So there's 3 different ways you can program the robot, but she can only do one of the 3, okay? So there's like a perfect little housewife that cleans and cooks and all that. And then there's the sex robot. And then there's the nanny, the one that takes care of the kids. This man was a bachelor, so he chose a nice little sex robot. And he did, I think where it went awry a little bit is he did try to like he was constantly, because he could take her in and like give her bigger boobs and stuff because she looked like a person, and he was constantly trying to change her settings to a point to where she would be like super perfect. And I think he played with it too much, where he tried to make her a perfect housewife on top of being the perfect like sex. He was just playing with the system because, you know, men, greed, power, you know. He's already got a sex bot, but he's like, you know what I need her to be a good housewife. Well, once he does that, it kind of unlocks this thing. She ends up becoming super empathetic and having like she becomes too human, and he ends up getting another robot to do the housework stuff. But it was like really like the whole time I was reading it, I was like, if this like give it a few years and this would be what the incels were trying to do, honestly.
I mean, they have sex bots now. Did you know you can hook up a fleshlight to like different porn websites and like it's supposed to do the same action that's happening there?
I did not know that.
Like remote controlled.
Okay. Interesting.
But like that, like the different settings for the robot of housewife, caretaker, effectively sex doll, like that's something that we hear in like movies and culture all around.
Yeah, today. Like when they refer to women as dishwashers.
Yeah, they're just an appliance. That there's married folks, they use this as an excuse to, you know, cheat on their wife. They can go out and find a mistress because, you know, she's a mom now. That's not sexy. She spent all day cleaning babies and stuff. I don't want to touch her now. So they go off and find some strange. That's in movies. I think I remember seeing that in movies and TV shows all my life. And that men use that as an excuse. Yeah. Because you can't be everything. And it's hard to like switch profiles effectively. That really goes to show that, you know, art imitates life.
Truly.
And so these pickup artist folks are all about chasing women, not treating them as people. Like
don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, that's one of the tactics. Another one of the tactics is to like establish some sort of like physical touch early, to like grab her or to like physically take her and separate her from her friends. How many times have you seen something like that on a TV show? Yeah. You ever heard of negging? Where you go and you like insult or backhand compliment somebody? It's supposed to like disarm them and make them, you know, lose their foot so that they're you know, able to engage with you more. I've seen that on shows. I've heard of that from people I've worked with, and I've seen it in the wild. Like in a group hangout, my friend brings a friend, and he says something just backhand compliment to one of my friends because that's, you know, he's trying to get with her. What the fuck?
Men are gross.
Yeah. They're terrible. And what's really bad about that is some of these guru folks, they write these books about how to pick up women, bang 7 sluts a day, whatever the titles are, and now
they're very catchy titles, to be fair.
But then they like separate from that. They now one of the prominent one of the head guru fellas, it's a PUA. Still hate that acronym.
Just call him a pickup artist. Don't put shame on PUA's name.
That poor pig. This fucker is now like a religious person. He's writing religious and self-help books about how to get away from that type of life. Yet his books are still for sale and he's collecting royalties on it.
He wants that money.
You can go to his website and buy his course of how to pick up women because that's still alive. But now he's a holy man. Ridiculous. Some of the like more violent folks actually come from the pickup artist community. There was one that Laura Bates looked at. It was PUA Hate was the forum, and that's where someone actually announced that they were going to that, you know, PUAs shouldn't be going after women. Women don't deserve your time like that. We should actually go and kill them. And it was one of the guys that that went through and collected people out of a like a university room, I believe, and then just execution style killed several women.
Wow.
Yeah, off of that freaking pickup artist community. Like, it's wild that the forums all seem to go to the same type of thing. Is no matter which one of those you're in, you can tee off enough to where you get to women aren't people, they should die. It's like, did you ever play seven Degrees of Kevin Bacon or like 6 Clicks to Jesus? Did you ever do either of those?
What? No.
So
is it like a 6 degrees of separation type of thing?
Correct. If you go to, like, I used to play in high school, where you would go to Wikipedia and you'd hit the random, and you had 6 clicks to get to Jesus.
Okay.
Those types of separations, like 2 to 3 separations, are all that's standing between people that murder women and the president of the United States, of prominent media folks.
Yeah.
All the stuff that was in the Me Too movement that happened a couple years ago, where everyone came forward and said that these really high profile folks were assaulting and hurting women. They all came together to like share their stories.
Fuck you, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. Those folks, they all got, canceled then. Do you know where they're now?
No.
Just different companies.
Oh. Wow.
It seemed like something was going to happen, and we were getting together, and then kind of just fill it up. With the Me Too movement, there was a lot of people that were concerned. Why are they coming in now? What if they're lying? It's not all men. Ridiculous.
I hate the not all men movement.
Yeah, why is that?
Because you men suck. Not all men.
But a lot.
Enough of the men, like, realistically, logistically, I know that not every single man in the world has raped a woman, okay?
Some of them are celibate.
Yes. But I remember having this conversation with my brother, and his wife at the time. I was having a conversation with them, and me and her were talking about some really scary things we've gone through as women. And he was like, not all men are like that. And like, okay, if the shoe doesn't fit, calm the hell down. Why are we getting defensive over, like, if it's not you, then why do you care so much? Like, why are you getting so up in arms if that doesn't apply to you? Like, getting defensive because I said a lot of men. I didn't even say every man, but I will say that almost every single one of my friends has a story about being abused, raped, sexually assaulted, whatever. At least, like, I can't even tell you how many friends of mine we've shared stories. It would be a way, way, way shorter list to say the women that I don't know about if they have a story, because not everyone talks about it. Not everyone wants to relive it. But my friends and I, that we've built a community in which we can talk about things we've gone through. And even if you don't have like a huge like abuse story or rape story, you have an incident at a bar where a man touched you inappropriately, which is sexual assault. You have men who have said something inappropriate to you. You have been uncomfortable in a room full of men. I'm willing to bet that most women listening to this right now have a story. Big, small, doesn't matter. It's still a story. And just because we're bringing awareness to it doesn't mean that we're taking anything away from you personally. Like, I feel like sometimes people, and we did talk about this in the last podcast, where it's acceptable to say all immigrants do this, or all women are like this, all women are crazy. I heard that so much growing up, like, get a new line, old men.
Why is it okay to paint with a broad brush?
But for everyone except for men.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like a huge problem. I can't talk to you about, or sorry, not you specifically. I can't say that a lot of men, I can't even say that most men are violent towards women without a man getting super defensive. Well, why are you getting so defensive?
The statistics say that men overwhelmingly are aggressive towards women.
And I think my brother tried to say that there was like that I didn't have enough data to support my hypothesis, right? He said something like that. I didn't, and
He tried to say some like quasi-scientific bullshit. I was like, no, man, what are you talking about?
but if,
I think you pulled out the statistic. Well, like men get assaulted too.
which yes, but that's not what we're talking about right now. You can have your moment to shine after I'm done. But it was like he was basically saying I didn't have enough information, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just say, because I can say that I have 10 friends, and every single one of those friends has been sexually assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
10 out of 10 is pretty fucking bad. Like, that's a problem.
That's a small sample size, but unfortunately, it's representative of our country.
And I was like, and I was like, of my 10 friends, my friends could probably find at least 5 of their own separate friends that have stories. And so it would just build on and build on. If you really wanted to go that route, we can do that, honey. But I'm not doing that.
But there are studies.
There are
things that
yes,
have been brought through, and
they don't want to hear those though.
like the MGTOW folks who we were talking about, the men going their own way. They were afraid of false accusations. And there were some statistics like 1 in like 30% of the rape cases that have brought through were false. As it turns out, that was someone just saying something, and there was no data to back that up.
But a lot of rape cases don't have data to back it up
Correct.
because you like
and Laura Bates went through and actually dug through the statistics, and it's like 1 in 600 actually that are brought forward to the police with evidence actually lead to some sort of conviction. Most of them are just thrown out because either the person can't get enough evidence, or they have to like corroborate and say that it's happened more than once, which is kind of how the Me Too movement started. Is
you
like,
had to get a big group of people.
the police officer, or they said, well, it can't be just you. Do you have anybody else that this happened to show us a pattern? And then one of the arguments that mainstream America said was, why are they just now waiting? Why are there so many of them now and not before? Well, because that's what the police asked, is you need to find other people that this is happening.
And you have to go talk to people and like convince people to come forward with you, and that's scary. And there was several women. It took a lot of women. I don't even remember the number, but it was so many women. And I mean, they still don't want to like ruin these guys' lives, but we don't care about the women we left behind. Like, and the damage that they're going to deal with for the rest of their life, they're going to carry that forever. Those men don't care, but those women are going to carry that forever. And when you are assaulted, you are raped, you are harmed, abused in any type of way, you carry shame with it, even though it's not your fault. You carry guilt, you carry the pain, you wear that like a scarlet letter all the time on you. And it's sad, and it's sad that people aren't believed more. I think the problem is men, obviously, and it's like,
it's hard to be wrong when someone says, hey, this is a problem. People start looking internal and say, no, that can't be the problem.
Well, it's also like, I will say for some of my experiences, I didn't realize were what they were in the moment because I wasn't taught any different. I wasn't taught, rape to me was a violent thing, like a near-death experience, which is not always the case. It was like bloody, and it was like someone beating you up, and then that was what rape was to me. I didn't realize that like there's so many layers to sexual assault, and there's yeah, there's rape, but rape isn't always, your husband can rape you.
Yeah.
There's coercion, which that one is, I think, a lot harder for people to understand, is because it doesn't feel as yucky.
Yeah, I didn't realize what coercion was until I was like 23. I remember like in college they had like sexual health seminars and stuff. I got to like, that was the first times I actually learned about consent. That like enthusiastic consent is important. I got a shirt that said consent to sex. I was so proud. I was like, yeah, I'm edgy now. I got in like my second sexual relationship ever, and I remember hearing about coercion, but it wasn't until like it actually happened. Like it was me and my girlfriend.
You dated someone before me?
I'm so sorry.
I know.
I came to you as fast as I could.
It's okay.
Anyway, back to the sad, terrible story about my.
Sorry, I didn't read the room.
Yeah, we were fooling around, and I was like, come on, it'll be fun, let's go. She said something along the lines of, all right, fine. In my head, I got consent. Nice, I'm ready to go. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that she was not into it. It wasn't until like we're getting into it that she started crying. And whoa. She said, yes, what happened? But instead of like going into, no, I didn't do anything wrong, I got a yes.
She didn't say yes. She said fine.
Yeah. That's the problem, is
you're hearing what you want to hear too.
Exactly. You got to take accountability. When you do something wrong, you have to realize that what could I have done better in that situation? And what can I do to fix that? There's too many people that when brought with an uncomfortable truth, hey, you shouldn't be treating people that way. This hurt somebody. To me, I got it. I did what I was supposed to. My shirt said consent is sexy. All right, I got consent. I'm good. Unfortunately, that's not what it's about. The small moment for me of, yeah, this is going to be great, is could be life-shattering for her. It's there was a part in Laura Bates' books that there was a girl that was being molested by her brother for years, and it fucked her up. Later, she went back to talk to him. I was like, man, why would you do this to me? Why did you hurt me for so long? And for him, it was like, I just wanted my dick played with. For the aggressor, it's not a big deal. It's a Tuesday for him.
Mm-hmm.
And for the people that it gets perpetrated against, it's lasting. But that's why the Not All Men came about, is there's too many people that see, oh no, I've done something like that. That's not wrong. I'm not a rapist. Instead of, oh no, that's a problem. Should I do something different? No, they're wrong.
Well, it's because like, if they have to acknowledge, like for one, they have to acknowledge that they did something wrong. Mm-hmm. So even if it was coercion and they have to acknowledge, oh, I've done that before. But what if I don't do that? What if I don't get laid? Like, to them, you know what I mean? Like if they don't keep doing everything that they've done before, how are they going to continue to get laid? You know what I mean? And that's stupid. And I think it's why like people don't want to believe women. Sometimes I saw a TikTok where the girl was like, I don't think it's that men don't believe women. I think men know that men, like, because it's kind of like, why do you think that the fathers of daughters are so up in arms about their daughters dating men specifically? Because they know what men are like. And why do you know what men are like if you're not doing really bad stuff too? And I think a lot of men do know and do believe women. I think it's just they don't care. They don't want to actually have to acknowledge it because
it's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And I genuinely think it's more of they don't care. But I do remember in the book, I remember that Laura goes and talks to like people to teenagers at school and stuff. And she's told her story of her own like assault and stuff. And this boy didn't believe her, like several boys, I'm sure. But I'm specifically referring to this one that was just like, well, how do I know that you know,
I think you're lying.
I think, yeah, you could be lying. Like, she just opened up her, like, she opened up her whole, like, history, and he's just like, well, you could be lying. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why? Like, why do you think that? I don't know. I'll never understand that. Like,
because on like these message boards, which then gets translated into YouTube, which gets translated into social media, the news, our political figures.
Women are liars, and and I hate like that's the world we're living in, which like women are not believed. I hate when women don't believe other women, and it's, you know, the whole innocent until proven guilty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of doesn't apply to women. Like, women are, like, when they come out with their story, like, they're only applying that to the perpetrator, like, to the woman's rapist. You're like, oh, he's innocent until proven guilty, which is super hard to prove sometimes.
But innocent until proven guilty is so that the government doesn't just jail people for no reason.
Right. I get that. But
that's
the
not
woman,
the way it's used.
but the woman is guilty.
Yeah.
Until she's proven innocent.
She's a liar until she can prove that something else happened.
And that's hard to do a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing is Conor McGregor. There's witnesses that they went into this room together. There was like a rape kit finding his DNA inside of her. Mm-hmm. Her tampon had to be physically, like surgically removed. And somehow that's not enough evidence.
I mean, he was found guilty.
Not by his wife. His wife says, no, she's still lying. I'm going to warn my kids about her. Ridiculous.
The things women will do to stay with a man.
Our president, there's a civil case that brought forward where I forget exactly how many women came through, but there was multiple accounts of him like having sex with sex slaves, of him sexually assaulting people while he was on the Miss America pageant.
Oh, 100%.
He enjoyed like judging and molesting these women out in the open. That's what he wanted to do. And somehow we did not think that that was enough of a problem to keep him out of office. That there was enough evidence that he was found liable by a court of it, by a jury.
Those grocery prices are going to go down.
But he just said this week that it's hard to bring them back down.
They're not going down. You got punked, okay? There's no Ashton Kutcher showing up though.
Yeah. The whole country is punked.
Yeah, we don't believe women. And I think Laura did a really good job of, I mean, I don't know how she integrated herself into those dark spaces like that. I couldn't have done it. I hate that she has told her story to so many people and she's still viewed as a liar.
And the crazy thing is she talked about, she had a couple of different schools she got to go speak at, and like over years as well. And she found a pattern that there was one or two little boys with like their notebooks, and they had a set of questions they wanted to ask her, and they were like, ha, we're gonna get her. And they would say like the same things over and over. And every time she would ask, where are you getting this? Oh, YouTube. Mm-hmm. And it was like, did you know that one in 3 rape cases are false? No, they're not. That's a false statistic someone made up.
There's a lot of false statistics out there though.
Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, there was a link to like these boys watching things on YouTube. The YouTube algorithm. Thank you, capitalism. It's used to keep people watching for as long as possible, to play ads so you can get paid.
Yeah.
Well, they slowly move you over to more and more extremist things. If you watch a video for a little bit longer than a different one, they're gonna find some links and tree off and keep going. And the algorithm has found that the more extreme the subject matter, the longer people watch, and the more they get involved. And unfortunately, kids today are getting launched into these like extremist, dangerous groups and learning about this stuff way too early.
I mean, and Twitter's a hellscape. I'm not going to call it X. I refuse. But yeah, Twitter's a hellscape for it too. Like it's awful. And especially now that there's no like, it's lawless out there, man.
You want to hear what I think happened?
What?
So you remember
Elon Musk happened.
Yeah. You remember whenever there was some sort of like investigation saying that Twitter was influencing the 2020 election, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why Elon Musk wanted to buy it. He's like, wait, I can just change the algorithm to make it see what I want to see? Hell yeah, brother.
And now you can't even unfollow Elon Musk.
Yeah. There was an all hands meeting at like 2 a.m. He called all the Twitter guys in to say, hey, my tweet didn't get as many likes or follows as it was something dumb. He's like, I want y'all to change the algorithm. So now he's viewed first.
Mm-hmm.
Like they accelerated him to be the top thing.
Anyways, final thoughts on the book?
Final thoughts on the book. It was haunting. I found myself thinking about it. It's my new super volcano.
Oh no.
So, you know how people say they have their Roman Empire, something they think about every day?
Mine is the impending sense of doom. Always.
Oh no. So mine, for the longest time, was the super volcano that's under Yellowstone. That at any time, if it goes off, the world as we know it could be gone. Just the ash that would spew out, like from where we are now in Texas. Yellowstone is fog. We're dead.
No.
I thought about that every day.
My super volcano is cancer. I always think I'm going to get cancer and just die.
Mm-hmm. In the last 2 weeks, I've been thinking more about this book than the super volcano.
So haunting, super volcano.
Yeah, it really opened my eyes that this isn't just a niche group. It isn't a small faction. It's like it's larger than we think, and it is being put into our everyday conversation. I was watching like now that I know some of the vocabulary words. Something that we didn't mention: red pill. Made popular by the Matrix, where like once you take the red pill, the blue pill, like you'll never see the world again. You can't go back.
Yeah.
We talked about that in the last episode. I've heard that on 3 different YouTubers since we've read the book.
Damn.
Yeah. That's something that people have been talking about. That's in society now. Unfortunately, for me, my red pill is that the world is terrible. And that people don't think other people they are people and should have rights. Be that immigrants, women, Muslims.
All right, Yeposaurus, it's my turn to tell. I want to tell my final thoughts on the book. We keep getting off subject, and I also have to talk about my rock still. So, boo. I do not read a lot of nonfiction unless it's a memoir. I'm a memoir girly. I like reading about celebrities. I finished Drew of Follows. It was amazing. Love you. But I really enjoyed this one. It's gotten me it's gotten me into nonfiction. I will say that it was, like I said in the beginning, it wasn't anything, none of that surprised me. I was glad to have actual logic and statistics brought into it, not just like things that I felt or things that I personally have seen and stuff. But it wasn't surprising to me. But she did a really good job, and if it's a very short audiobook too, so if you want to listen to it, I listened to it on like 1.7 speed because I'm psychotic. But
That's wild. I don't know how you do it fast.
I don't know. That's the only way I can listen to audiobooks at supersonic speed.
Damn you, Lorelai Gilmore.
Yeah, it's got to be the Gilmore Girls, but it was really good. It's very informative. If you want to understand and not understand, sorry, rewind. if you want to, actually hear some really like crazy stories that actually happened, and maybe this podcast has opened your eyes to some things, I suggest listening to the audiobook. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's my final thoughts.
Yeah, not sponsored, by the way.
Not sponsored at all.
She's got like 3 other books that I think I need to look into.
Yeah.
Apparently, she's also does some fiction stuff. There was a book about it was an alternate telling of Robin Hood, which looked interesting.
Is Robin Hood hot in that one too?
I think Robin Hood.
Is that Robin? The cartoon Robin Hood. Hear me out.
Hear me out, Fox.
Hear me out. Anyways, so we need to talk about our rocks from last week. If you watched last week, my rock was to start having tough conversations with people in my life, specifically about like being a good feminist. And I will not go into too much detail as to protect the people that I love and care about. But I think I am doing those things, and I think I'm killing it. And my rock for this week is, so we're about to go out of town. We're going to go to Canada. So my rock is to try to be, I get really anxious when it's time to go places. I do not like, I'm not a good traveler. Once you get me to the airport, I'm good. Once I'm at the airport, I'm good. Or like in the car, I'm good. But everything before that, I'm not good. I'm not okay. I panic. I'm like, I'm on edge the whole time, and nobody's having a good time. Everyone's upset. I make sure that when we get in the car, I make sure nobody's having a good time. Not intentionally. I just get very anxious, and my rock is to relax a little bit and actually try to relax and have a vacation. I'm not very good at that, but I'm going to try it and see how it works. That's my rock, and it's not going to change the world, but it will change my family's world.
And we've talked about, sometimes your rock is just making it through.
That's what mine is this week, because he's lucky. He's driving to Canada on Sunday. I don't know how lucky that is, but you're lucky in the sense of you do not have to be in my travel chaos.
But I love you.
I love you too.
I want to be your rock.
Anyways, let's talk about your rock now.
No, I want to go back. So are you saying that your fight or flight is always stuck in fight before you have to fight?
He just wanted to make that joke so bad. Talk about your rock. Watch me edit this out too. That would really hurt, wouldn't it?
That'd be funny.
Okay, go ahead.
Anywho. So my rock last week was to get more plugged in on Texas legislation, and to try to get more informed on, the laws that are being passed that affect us from day to day. I found out that my representative doesn't have a newsletter, which is upsetting for Texas Senate. He's been the incumbent a couple of times, and I think he ran it unopposed last time.
Sweet.
Yeah, just some guy who's been a politician. So
you hate to see it.
I couldn't join his newsletter, but I did read some highlights from the Texas Senate. They had struck down a bill last session, which I think was in the summer, which is wild that they don't have session all the time. Do you know that we're paying our state representatives to be basically part-time workers and to only work about, half the year? Wild. But this time, last time they struck down something about school funding. This time they brought it back around, and they struck it down again because Abbott does not want to pass any school funding bills without specific language about being able to choose which school district you go to. So like in our area, there's like 6 schools around us. We could
school district or school?
School.
Okay.
There's like 6 schools all around us. They're all within a couple of miles. Mm-hmm. And why are we going to this one? Not that.
We don't get to pick.
But he wants to change that to make that.
To where we get to pick. Mm-hmm. Then nobody's going to go to that. You know what school I'm talking. Nobody's going to go to that school. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So something else that they pitched in there was to set up basically savings accounts. They passed some millions of dollars to put $8,000 into a bunch of different like savings accounts so that parents can apply for and use this money for private tutors and like private schooling things, because they see that the school system is broken, but they don't want to pay to fix the school system. They want you to do it, and you can get a stipend for it, which is exciting.
Oh.
They what?
Oh, sorry, I was reading.
Oh, I took some notes. They're right here. You can't see them. They had a school security bill be put forth that they debated for a little bit. It was ultimately shut down. They wanted to put armed guards at schools, but they were like, you know what? We're not spending money on that. But they did pass a border security bill, which will allow Texas to, keep building that wall, baby. The wall that Trump started last time he was president. That Mexico was going to pay for?
They didn't pay for it.
Hey, it looks like Texas is now. So, that's cool. $1.5 billion. How many homeless people do you think we can build a house for with that? Like all of them?
I'm not sure.
I think all of them.
I don't know how much. Well, once tariffs come up, we're not going to be able to build much. Lumber price is going to go up.
Mm-hmm. A lot of our Portland cement is coming from overseas as well. So, all the infrastructure that we're trying to do. Our lumber is coming from Canada. Portland cement is coming from China. We're not going to be able to build anything.
We already have a house. We're good.
Better knock on some wood, girl. Got a wood. Oh, there we go.
Best is wood. All right, so what's your rock this week?
My rock for this week. I think I want to get more informed on what?
It sounds like he's just reusing his rock from last week. He's just adding a different fancy word in front of it.
No, last time I wanted to
get more plugged in.
Yeah.
Now you want to get more informed.
Uh-huh.
Synonyms.
I wanted to make like automatic things to send to me last time. Unfortunately, I couldn't.
Okay.
Got some.
Okay.
This time, I actually want to research and become informed on how to do like public ballot measures. Like, how can I create something that goes onto a ballot? Because I think a couple of things that I would like to do in the future is put forth a referendum for term limits. I don't think people should run unopposed. I don't think that someone who's there for 15 years, that a politician's not a job. That should be something you do to help people, not to make money. You're supposed to be a civic servant. That's not a career.
Yeah, we pay presidents that aren't in office $300,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
I don't think commercial entities, corporations, should own residential property.
Yes, the housing crisis is fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then hospitals should not be for profit. I know that's controversial, but
socialist.
And socialism, like being called a liberal was a bad word for a long time.
Yeah,
Being called socialist.
Our medical, it just should not be for profit.
I saw a thing, there was like an infographic about the lifespan versus the amount of money paid for healthcare per capita. We are the highest paid and lowest living.
Yep.
Those folks with universal healthcare, they're up there. They're doing good. However, capitalism has ruined our healthcare market. It's all about making money. And ask anybody who is excited about RFK being the health and safety person.
Yep.
They're excited because he doesn't like that, vaccines and stuff. They rushed vaccines and things are putting into people's body because they want to make money.
That's not his voice, but nice try.
He has some. I think if I do his voice, then isn't that making fun of somebody with a disability?
I don't know.
You told me that he had a disability. That's why he talks.
I did not tell you that.
You told me that.
I don't know that he's a disability.
Yeah, it's something.
I know he said he had a worm that was eating his brain,
God damn.
but I don't know if that has to do with his voice or not.
I don't think so.
Oh. Oh, he had some stuff in his throat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You told me that.
That was a disability. He had something happen in his throat. Anywho. Are you done?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done. I'm tired. I want to take a bath.
On that note, everyone take care of yourselves.
Thanks for watching. We'll be back next time with We Have No Clue Yet.
I think next time I want to talk about media bias.
I don't want to talk about that one next time.
Why not?
Because I want to talk about what I want to talk about.
And that is?
I want to talk about how to deal with family members and no contact and all that. That's my idea.
I like that idea.
Yeah, because it's very topical. People are definitely having to deal with that after the election. Mm-hmm. How do I deal with family members that voted for Trump? How do I deal with people who suck? Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't mutually exclusive.
No.
That Venn diagram is a circle.
Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with something. I'm not sure what. We have to talk about topics.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be media bias and talking to folks.
Well, media bias could fit into your family really well.
Yeah. I just had a conversation about all sorts of topics, and you can find anything that supports your stance on the internet. Whether or not it's credible is different.
Okay, bye.